What are your thoughts on Jordan Peterson?
I think Jordan Peterson's a lunatic. And
What's happening, everybody? Patrick Bet-David recently had political commentator Sam Seder on his show, the PBD Podcast. Patrick Bet-David and Sam Seder debated a multitude of topics, but today's video focused on Sam Seder's ill-informed, brain-dead take on Jordan Peterson. With that said, let's watch Patrick Bet-David make woke knob job Sam Seder look like a fool with facts, not feelings. Let's go.
he didn't.
What are your thoughts on Jordan Peterson?
I think Jordan Peterson's a lunatic, and I think his perspective on women is just twisted. He might be good for helping wayward kids who don't know how to make their bed, but I think that a lot of his ideas are really incredibly toxic and bizarre, frankly.
What is it? What do you, on women specifically?
Oh, I mean, just I'm not a Jordan Petersonophile, but I just remember the last thing that I had talked about that he had said was he was speculating that perhaps it was a detriment to women not for men to have some form of ownership stake. I think he was talking just sort of like, broadly, like loose investment in relationship with them to protect them from rape. Both statistically, that's bizarre, but also the idea that and it wasn't that long ago that women were chattel of their husband, let's say, in this country, or women were property. Rape wasn't even a crime against women. It was a crime against the owner of women. Wow. So his stuff is completely ahistorical.
Why do you think he has such a massive following, and what do you think about his followers?
I mean, I don't know his followers. I don't know who they are. I imagine they're young people. But I mean, I think there's a bunch of reasons. I think that look, this is society is in a period of transition because people who have been marginalized for at least in the context of American society, have more of a voice, particularly through social media and this and that. But also, I think there's more of a voice in terms of there's not as much hostility from law and this and that. It was only 2013 when there was marriage equality in this country. And I think there's also and I think that it makes it hard for some people to understand where they fit in. And I think there is a very strong message from fundamentalists in this country, religious fundamentalists, who are, white-knuckledly holding on to their system of the way that society and families and people should be organized, and their interpretation of gender and whatnot, because it's all perceived as a threat. And so I think within that milieu, and then I think there's other factors in terms of money. There's money that sloshes around on the right that is.
Hey, if you like watching videos like these, subscribe, and blah, blah, blah. Let's get back to the video.
It's helpful to things that push their ideology. So I think it's a combination of all those things.
I think Jordan Peterson, you can't ever be 100% accurate on everything that you say without offending people. You're going to say some stuff that's going to offend people. I think he has helped a lot of young boys who have been lost the last 10, 20 years know a little bit more about what it is to be a man. The endless amount of stories of how that guy positively impacted people's lives the number is unbelievable how big it is on what
I've heard you say, I think, or someone told me that you're a data guy. Where is is that just anecdotes or?
Have you ever filled up an arena with 15,000 people?
No, but Andrew Dice Clay did 30,000 back in the day.
The difference is we went to Andrew Dice Clay for comedy, but people are going to Peterson for other reasons.
Well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's having a positive impact on society.
I think for men to be stronger is a positive impact on society in an era with so many fatherless homes that they don't have a man giving them direction. Thank God someone is giving them direction.
Well, I worry about that guy. If people want direction, they can come to me. I'll give them
Well, that would be a fun case to see you give mindset to 100 boys and him give mindsets to 100 boys, and we see what happens 20 years later. It's yours, by the way. It'd be an interesting one. By the way, last one here. Another guy.
You could afford to set that up.
I would be open to it.
What was that? Have you guys seen this guy before? Holy shit. I defy anyone out there to tell me if he made a salient point that entire interview. Oh my God. He immediately ranks up there for me with Cenk and David Pakman. They're all just insufferable in different ways. Let's recap. What do you think of Jordan Peterson? He's toxic and bizarre. I mean, he may help some wayward men who don't know how to make their bed. Oh, really? Well, what specific messaging do you have a problem with? Well, I'm not a Jordan Peterson-ophile. And let me just say real quick, this guy, I think, loves to hear himself talk. I think he's one of these people that lacks self-awareness. I think he's just completely aloof, and he doesn't understand the effects the words coming out of his mouth have on other people. In his mind, everyone is hanging on every single word. Anyway, back to the recap. Then he goes into something about, Jordan Peterson says that you should have an ownership stake, broadly loose investment to protect women from rape. I guarantee Jordan Peterson has said something about that topic at some point, but I think he might have articulated it a little better than that. So what we've gotten so far during the recap is he thinks Jordan Peterson is a lunatic and bizarre, but he doesn't really know what he's all about. I mean, it sounds to me like someone who just knows that ideologically Jordan Peterson's probably very different than he is. And again, one of these idiots that just has to be contrarian to the other side. He said nothing. Then when he made that claim about women being protected from rape, he said statistically it's not. What is he talking about? Then he brings up that women in the United States were property of men not that long ago. Do you mean the 1830s? Maybe to the early 1900s, so over a century ago. Does Sam Seder have like a grandma that's like, I remember when I was property of my husband? He linked that somehow to that rape wasn't a crime against the woman in the past. It was a crime against the man because he owned her. Patrick Bet-David has the patience of Job. I mean, how did he sit through that and not look for a gun to end it all? It's kind of like, I gotta admit, it's kind of like a car wreck. Like, I kind of want to see more of him now because it's so effing stupid. I can't look away. I want to point out one more thing he said something to the effect of society's progressing and that fundamentalist Christians are white-knuckling it, wanting to hold on to the old ways. I'm a Christian, and I can think of a couple ways I'm yearning for the old ways. Crazy things like, I think it's good when people get married and you have two parents in the home. I think that, and this shows how old-fashioned I am. I think that, like, a woman used to be a woman, not some guy who, like, cut his thing off. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not progressive, I get it, but so I kind of yearn for those old ways when, like, we didn't tell kids they could choose whatever gender you want to be. Don't come at me. I know that's a wild take. And as much as Jordan Peterson does speak to young men, most of his advice can be applied to anyone's life. But I understand Sam Seder thinks some of the things Jordan Peterson advocates for a little crazy, like don't lie and always tell the truth, that it's a really difficult world out there for all of us, and that it's important to be tough so other people can lean on you. Sam probably doesn't like that Jordan Peterson really emphasizes accountability. I can't imagine that's something he likes. It's funny, though, what Sam Seder doesn't understand is that these wayward men, as he describes them, that Jordan Peterson may help them learn to make their bed. The society that he advocates for, where it's just a free-for-all and you do whatever you want, there's no real order to things, As our country slowly devolves into that, one of the consequences of that is you have a lot of young people that are just lost because the number of two-parent households is decreasing all the time. So a lot of children just have one parent in the home that's doing their best, but they might not have a father, and they didn't get the guidance that they needed. So it's crazy to think that some psychologist from Canada could have that big of an impact. And if you're as oblivious as Sam Seder, you don't understand that these young people are craving direction from someone, and oftentimes they find it in the wrong place and their life takes a bad path. So if Jordan Peterson helps somebody get on the right track when they could have gone down another path, I think that's a net benefit on society. Not to mention, there are young people that are growing up right now that are told masculinity is bad, toxic masculinity. First of all, there's no such thing. There's just masculinity, and then there's good and evil people. But imagine hearing that over and over for your entire life, and then someone comes along and say, hey, guess what? It's okay to be masculine. In fact, it's a good thing. I'll put it to you another way, a much simpler way. Would you rather a world with a ton of Jordan Petersons or Sam Seders? When he said at the end there, they shouldn't go to Jordan Peterson for life advice, they should come to me. Oh my God. Can you imagine how high the collective estrogen level would be in the United States if it was just a bunch of Sam Seders? I shudder at the thought. I mean, this guy really threw me off. I think I'm still flustered because he said so little, but it exposed so much of what type of person he is. Anyway, that's it for today's video. If you enjoy torturing yourself and you want to see more self-important retards just talk and talk and talk and talk without saying anything and be astonished at how stupid they are, then click on one of the two videos that just popped up on the screen. Otherwise, I really appreciate you watching today. The end.